Here I am, Matt Weaver, Racer.com, Auto Week magazine, standing up here against the wall, the High Line at Bristol Motor Speedway post-race, wrapping up the Bristol night race, which kind of turned into the Bristol mid-afternoon Sunday race. It's won by Kevin Harvick over Ricky Stenhouse. A really good race, I felt like. There's really a lot to tackle, and I really can't do all of it here, but I wanted to, post something really quick to kind of wrap up my thoughts from the weekend. Really a week. We were here on Tuesday night for the Truck Series, and that lasted throughout the week for the Xfinity Series and for Cup. And then we had the rain out, so it kind of turned into a Sunday ordeal, and it was a good time. So, first things first, Kevin Harvick won the race. A good victory for him. Obviously Toyota has had the tour covered this year, and I feel like we don't give enough respect to Stewart-Haas Racing for what they've been able to do. Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers, they're still a great combination, and they've proven it week in and week out. And honestly, if you think about it, they'd probably have a few more wins if it's not for some of the issues that's befallen them on pit road. And in talking to those guys after the race, they feel like they've solved a lot of those problems, and they're prepared to make a deep run into the fall during the chase to win this deal. And so, granted, there was some attrition. There always is here at Bristol for the night race, especially. The new track, this rosin, this VHT that they put on, really changed the dynamic of the racing, and I'll get to that here in a second. But all in all, this is a statement victory in many ways for the four teams. Their pit crew is good. The team is hitting on all cylinders, and they're going to try to make a run at their second championship in 3 years. So, good victory. But let's talk about the track for a second. If I zoom out here, you'll see the bottom groove, still black, still a little bit sticky from the race week. They added this VHT-like substance. It's not really VHT, but it's similar to the same sort of thing that the NHRA uses on their surfaces to create traction. The past couple of years at Bristol, we've had a top groove track only. Fans and drivers alike have kind of complained about it. So Bristol and NASCAR and the Drivers' Council all got together and came up with the idea of adding this substance to the bottom of the track, and it made a difference. I thought it was great racing. I thought the Truck Series was a good race. The Xfinity Series race was a race of the year contender across any division across the entire country. Amazing race. And then there's Sunday, today's race, just a good time. The top was still the predominant line. The bottom, I felt like, gave drivers options. If you get caught up in traffic, if you're trying to make a move on someone, you can do some things to get around them. And it's not like the Bristol we had from 2007 to 2012 in that you didn't have top to bottom all work equally. The top was like, yes, go here. The middle, absolutely not. You don't want to get caught up in the middle. You get loose, it's just a bad deal. And the bottom, maybe circumstantially. It just depended on the weather, cloud cover, how many laps on a run you had. Running the bottom sometimes kicked up marbles to the top of the track. I see some marbles here standing as we are. And so it just created an interesting dynamic. We saw Kurt Busch kind of make a transition from the top to the bottom and spun out all by himself just because there was no grip there in the middle, and that transition is tough. And he said he pushed it and caused a multi-car crash that also involved Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Matt Kenseth, and to me, it was the perfect blend of what Bristol used to be with the pushing and shoving, the aggression, hard-nosed racing, blue-collar, bluegrass here in Tennessee racing. I thought it was a good time, and it was a blend of that and, the multi-groove Bristol we had from 2007 to 2012. So I can't praise the racing enough, and, in many ways, I feel like this is the best version of Bristol. I know it's a small sample size. We don't have enough evidence to kind of say whether or not this is the status quo moving forward. A lot of rain in the area kind of altered things a little bit. So, I think we have a foundation to build off of, and just a great race. Chris Buescher finished 5th. It is his best non-rain aided finish of the year, and this was always going to be a statement race for Chris Buescher. Roush Fenway Racing is so good here. Ricky Stenhouse finished 2nd, tying his best finish here several years ago, and so I said going into the race weekend that if Buescher was legitimately getting more support on short tracks, on some non-downforce tracks from Roush Fenway Racing, from Ford Performance, it would show up here at Bristol. And boy, did they prove me right. You know, they finished 5th, and you know, some attrition. They had to survive some stuff, but I think that's a credit to Chris and his skill set that he was able to miss some of those crashes. So, you know, great finish. He's now, I believe, 13 points to the good in the top 30. He's making this chase. That's a non-issue now. He will be in the chase. Big bummer there for Ricky Stenhouse. I know 2nd place is an awesome finish, but he needed a win, and he wanted a win. You know, he needed a win because he's not going to make the chase on points, in my opinion. He wanted to win because he was driving a Brian Clausen tribute paint scheme, driving with the Brian Clausen helmet, and you know, it was just a bittersweet moment to finish 2nd. You know, he wanted to park it for Brian and came so close to doing so. That would have been a great story. It's a great story nevertheless. And you know, I just think the racing was good. It was a good story. It's the Bristol night race, man. Yeah, I choke up a little bit coming up here because I love this race. And you know, the first time I was here several years ago, I cried standing up here at the top. And some of my favorite memories as a fan were involved with watching this race. And I think we all collectively in the NASCAR social circle made some memories here with this race because it was a good time. I'll have more on racer.com, autoweek.com, Autoweek magazine. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter. You guys know the social channels. And I'm not going to Michigan next week. I've got a Cars Tour broadcast at Southern National. Hope you guys will tune into that on XN pay-per-view or Race Feed X. And from then on out, we're at a majority of the chase races. So you know, I'm excited. This is the best time of the year for a NASCAR fan. You've got the chase coming up, the race to the chase, some great races like Bristol and Darlington and Richmond, and this is a good time. You know, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Bristol night race, and we'll catch up later. Peace.